theme so much. Indiana Jones and the Great Circle came out this past Monday on the Xbox and PC. I've been playing it on my Xbox Series S, and I'm actually gonna get my big gripe out of the way first because it's nothing to do with the game, it's to do with that console that I played on, the Series S. Yeah, the game doesn't look very good on the Series S. The graphics, the resolution, the textures, it takes quite a hit on this console. There are times where I was just walking around and things just looked so low res and so low poly. It looks like you're playing a pre-alpha version of the game. I know that graphics are not the be-all end-all of the game, but I would be bullshit lying to you if I said that the Series S presentation of the Great Circle with its low graphics didn't compromise my experience playing the game, because it constantly stood out like a sore thumb. Now, I would be way more pissed off about this had I paid full price £70 for the game, which I didn't. I bought the Xbox Game Pass for a month, so essentially I rented this game for £15. So I wouldn't say it infuriated me, but it definitely annoyed me because it's still a 2024 AAA video game, so you still want it to look the best of the best. And I've looked into it and I've seen gameplay on the Series X and the PC, and it looks phenomenal on those platforms. So it's 100% a Series S thing. So I guess if you are planning on playing this game on the Xbox Series S, don't pay full price for it. Get the Game Pass, play it through there, because you'll be a lot less annoyed when you see how bad it looks on the console. Microsoft should take the Series S and get it examined by top men. So with that out of the way, let's talk about the game itself. And the game itself is actually pretty good. You can tell the developers of Machine Games really love the Indiana Jones franchise because they capture the tone and the vibe of those early films really, really well in here. The globe-trotting nature of the adventure, staying one step ahead of the Nazis, and following all the clues, unpacking the mystery at hand, in this case, the mystery of the Great Circle, the puzzle solving, going into underground catacombs and hidden temples in the jungle. It's proper Indiana Jones vibes. Naturally, the game's going to get a lot of comparison to Uncharted, and obviously all the similarities are already there, but it's a completely different tone and vibe to Uncharted because it's Indiana Jones. There's no other way to say it. It's Indiana Jones. The musical score emulating the classic John Williams score and brings it to life. The cutscenes are really good. You have a solid Nazi douchebag at the center that you have to stay one step ahead of. And major props have to be given to Troy Baker, who plays Indiana Jones. He absolutely nails this character. The in-game character model looks spitting image of Harrison Ford, but his actual performance emulates Harrison Ford so much. I know a lot of people like to say they did a great job without being an impression, and if this was a film and Harrison Ford had been recast, then yes, I'd want the actor to put their own stamp on it and not do a Harrison Ford impression. But since it's a video game, and you can have the in-game character model resemble Harrison Ford, sod it, do a Harrison Ford impression if you can. Troy Baker does, and I know it sounds like a disservice to say that Troy Baker does a Harrison Ford impression, but I mean that in the most complimentary way possible, because it really feels like Harrison Ford a lot of the time. The voice, the mannerisms, Troy Baker completely nails it. And the dialogue and the sense of humor of Indy is all there. It's all completely on point. Everybody who worked on this game clearly loves and adores this franchise. And again, they just captured the vibe and the essence of the original three films in particular so well. And it just fits right in because it treats the story as canon to those original films. There's references to Raiders of the Lost Ark. The opening scene, the first thing you play, is the opening scene to Raiders of the Lost Ark when you run away from the boulder. That was a great way to establish this story's canonicity to the original films and also provide a tutorial for the game. And the game's story is also really awesome. The whole mystery of the Great Circle, the power that the Nazis are trying to find with all these artifacts, classic Indiana Jones stuff. And I'm just really surprised that this story was never thought of for a film. In fact, the story and the whole Great Circle mystery is so cool and so interesting that I kind of wish it was a film. Let's talk about some of the gameplay. Now, a lot of people were disappointed when they found out this game was going to be first person. And overall, I actually enjoyed the first person element of the game. I think the developers nailed what they were going for, which is to immerse you into the role of Indiana Jones, and you feel like the character in the fedora with the whip. Also for me, the first person aspect kind of throws back to some of the old James Bond games I played in my childhood, like Agent Under Fire and Nightfire, which is fitting because the inception of the Indiana Jones character and franchise came from Steven Spielberg's desire to direct a James Bond film, so he created his own globe-trotting action-adventure hero with Indiana Jones, so kind of fits in that really convoluted, weird way. It does switch to third person whenever you're swinging across a ledge on your whip or you're pulling yourself up with your whip, and sometimes the transition between first and third person isn't always smooth. There'll be times where you're running and then you jump and pull yourself up on a ledge, And for that 1 second, as you're pulling yourself up, it switches to third person and then straight back to first person. It didn't need to switch to third person for every single traversal animation. As far as the fighting and combat goes, I liked how it has that classic Indiana Jones punch sound effect whenever you punch a bad guy, but sometimes the hand-to-hand combat can feel a bit clunky. The game has a stamina system, so whenever you use a heavy attack, or you do a dodge, or you're jogging a bit, you deplete stamina and you have to rest and rebuild your stamina. And in a hand-to-hand combat fight, Indy only has heavy attacks, so after 2 or 3 heavy punches, you're out of stamina and you have to wait to build your stamina up to throw another punch or dodge another punch. So it's kind of like punch, 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 and then move backwards. Avoid the guy, stamina's back up, okay, punch, punch, move back again, punch, guy goes down. Not the most seamless fighting mechanics, but it is very satisfying knocking the guy out, especially with the improvised weapons. You just find shovels and hammers, and you just whack them over the head, and they just fall on the ground, knocked out. Always satisfying. I liked how some of the locations in the story are actually big open areas that you can go off and explore all these little side places, and you can actually find side missions. And these side missions are surprisingly relevant to the main story, and they add little details to the overall mystery of the Great Circle. But I will say though, in those open locations, the Vatican City, Giza and Siam, get ready to travel a lot, and in some of them, get ready to walk a lot, because there is a fast travel system. You find a signpost with all the locations, but the locations only unlock for fast travel once you've already visited them. So in the case of Giza, you've got to walk all the way around the place to get to each location to unlock the fast travel, and it's a lot of walking, so just be prepared for that. It is a little bit tedious, but it also adds to that sense of adventure and that sense of exploration that you want from an Indiana Jones Uncharted-esque game, so there is that. So overall, despite a couple of clunky mechanics and the poor graphics on the Series S, Indiana Jones and the Great Circle is a worthwhile indie adventure. If you've never seen any of the films, I'd say don't bother playing this game, because the vast majority of the fun of this game is seeing how well they captured the tone and the vibe of the films. So if you've never seen the films, you're not going to get really anything out of this game, I don't think. But if you love this franchise and you play video games, you have no reason to not play The Great Circle. But again, if you have an Xbox Series S, don't pay full price for it, get it on the Game Pass, because you're going to feel really shortchanged when you see how bad it looks on the console.